Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I am going to teach you how not to be a Yamato. What is a Yamato? It's a tater that loves to play the Yamato badly. I'm going to show you how to play the Yamato not badly. And I'm going to do so with a free-to-play build so that you guys can't say, oh, Spartan, your build is just a pay-to-win build. Now, I got you, fam. We're going to show you how to do it right now. Also, shout out to the 1001 kills. You'll see that in this episode. Anyway, Takeo Takagi is going to be our commander for this build. We are running Flammable Cannoneer, Gyrating Drill Bits, Marksmanship, Reaching Out XXL, and we're running Fight Fire with Fire. Who are our commander inspirations? None other than Andrew Cunningham and Paolo de Revel. All of these are base commanders. You got no excuses, folks. All you got to do is level them up over time. It's that simple. So, base commanders, free to play, here you go. Obviously, they're all high levels, but again, I've been playing for 5 years. Just rank them up over time. Anyway, let's get into the other equipment. We've got Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2. You can swap this for Propulsion Mod. It's down to choice, but personally for me, I like to be able to turn my ships a little bit quicker sometimes, and that comes down to being able to, it's just personal preference. If you like Propulsion Mod, I understand why, but generally speaking, I tend to use Steering Gears. Concealment Mod is a must for all battleships. I don't care what you're running. Concealment Mod, unless of course you're going for the extreme snipers, in which case I can understand why you want to go for Target Acquisition Mod so that you can shoot beyond 20 kilometers, though I think that takes you out of position a lot. So personally, Concealment is where it's at. And then of course for the final slot we will be running the Main Battery Mod 3, which increases our reload time, or decreases our reload time for every 30,000 damage we're done. It's not a legendary perk either. This is something you can do right out the gate. Okay, you can just upgrade any of your 4th slot skills in tier 7 and above to being an epic or a legendary mod by using your steel that you acquire by playing arena, ranked battles, so on and so forth. Okay, you don't have to spend a dime. Just gotta grind. It sucks, but that's what you gotta do. All right. The other loadout, of course, we're running the spotter plane instead of the catapult fighter because we're not running Arthas. So we're running spotter plane, okay? We are running the battle-hardened camo, which is the forge camo that I spent steel on so that you guys could see it, so that you don't spend your money on the forge camo. And then the Italian Unity flag because it kind of looks like, Spartan helmet if you squint just right. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the stats because you guys already know the stats of the Yama. But what we will do is go in here and showcase that I have a 66% win rate in the Yama. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Because Yama is busted in the right hands, okay? 66% win rate with almost, 800, it's over 850 battles played, okay? And we got over 1,000 kills, so that tells you how many kills I get per game, okay? 43% main gun accuracy. 43 is the best number. Everybody knows it. My average damage is 119,000. Average XP 1,700. 18,000 upon our spotting because we don't spot a lot, or at least we don't get help when we shoot or do spot things a lot. But potential damage is 1.2 million, as you'd expect out of a battleship. It's pretty high. Okay. That being said, I show you this so that you guys can understand that this isn't coming from a place of I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? There are very few ships in this game where I go, I know what the f I'm talking about. Iowa-class battleships are there. Kansas is there. Minnesota and Vermont can be iffy, but they're very similar to the stuff that I normally play. So I'll come from a place of a little bit of expertise. And again, I don't claim to be the best. I never have, okay? But I know what the f I'm doing. And I can help you learn what the f to do. Okay? Armor. This is very important. For all of y'all taters out there that don't understand why you keep getting f***ed up in the Yama, I'm going to explain it. So the Yama, just like pretty much everything else except for the Frederick de Grosse Kurfürst, has a 32mm bow. But the Yama also has a very big weakness, and that is the Citadel. It's got a very funky citadel, okay? It's very high above the water line. It is not very well protected. And at any given moment, if you shoot through the cheeks, you see the part of the ship where it balloons out from the bow, where it's nice and skinny, to the torpedo bulge that's nice and fat. That little sweet spot right there where that gray line is, that is the cheek. We're going to refer to the cheeks a lot in this game, okay? Why? Because this is the #1 way to ruin a Yamato, period. Why? Because it's 32 millimeters of armor protecting it. And it doesn't take much penetration to go straight through and into that gigantic citadel. Okay? So this is the #1 way to ruin a Yama. The #2 way to ruin a Yama is when they're trying to retreat, because it is the exact same at the back. You have the gigantic citadel. You see how it's angled? It's perfect for going through the back, and especially if you're in Alaska. Alaska can citadel a Yami that's running away at ridiculously stupid angles, okay? It's like the only ship that I've seen do it, but most ships can do the exact same thing to the back of a Yamato that they do to the front cheeks of a Yamato. So keep that in mind, all right? Alaska is the exception because Alaska, like I said, has ridiculous pin angles that, for whatever reason, will fuck up a Yama while it's running away. It's insane. I've been on the giving and the receiving end of this particular situation, so just throwing that out there. That being said, one of the things that everybody always says is Yama doesn't have any armor. And in that, I can agree somewhat, but it's really not. It's 32 millimeters everywhere, and then you've got this little bit of a belt that kind of protects you from Yamato shells, but because you're 32 mils everywhere, if you try to angle against Yamato, first of all, if you try to angle against Yamato, you're just going to get citadeled through the cheek if they know what they're doing. But if you're at range, you should be able to somewhat angle against most ships, okay? Obviously, plunging fire, you do have a little bit of a thicker deck as well, so you're not as bad there. I think it's like 50 millimeters. I could be wrong. Let's double check. I don't want to tell you guys the wrong thing here. It is 57 millimeter deck armor at the center of the ship. So yeah, I was kind of correct. But 57 mil is enough to deflect even Yamato shells. But again, if you're getting shot with plunging fire from a Yamato, it's probably still going to go through because good penetration. All right. So, with all of that being said, let's get this party started, shall we? Alrighty, so we are going to be on Sleeping Giant in the Yamato, and I'm going to show you how not to be a Yamater. Okay? Now, where does this come from? Well, the other day, I was in the Colombo, and I made a statement about Yamato players where I said most Yamato players play like absolute morons. And people got all up in arms, and there was actually two sides of the argument. One of it was, Spartan, how dare you say most people that play the Yamato play like morons? Okay, I'm not calling them morons, I'm saying they're playing like it. There's a difference. Now, the other side of it was, there were several people in the comments that say, hey, I'm about to unlock the Yamato. I don't want to play like a moron. Can you teach us? So here we are. I will put my money where my mouth is that by the end of this video, you will have a much better understanding of how you should be playing the Yamato and how you shouldn't. Now, I'm not saying that everybody that goes out here should be playing as aggressively as I do. But one of the biggest weaknesses of this ship is up close and personal brawling, because everybody's like, oh, the Yama can't brawl. You're wrong. Yama can absolutely brawl. It's all about positioning and getting the enemy to come to you. And we'll showcase that. Now, I have two radar cruisers next to me. There's only a single destroyer, and that's always a good thing for a battleship captain, because what are the odds that the destroyer comes to you, right? You got this entire map that the destroyer could be in, and our Stalingrad wastes his radar to see what's coming around the corner before he has a chance. And no, he's not the one spotting the Yamato. The Yamato's spotted by our destroyer going into the center. And I'm not gonna lie, this Yama gets extremely lucky, as all of our shells end up going high and hitting his turret faces. What are the odds? You know? What are the odds that all of those shells, it was decently accurate too, but they all managed to hit the turret, which is the one place that he has armor, right? Anywhere else was 32 mil, we overmatch it, we do damage, right? We already discussed this. That's the biggest thing about the Yamato that a lot of people just don't understand. It overmatches almost every ship in the game because 460 millimeter guns overmatch 32 millimeters of armor. What is overmatching? Overmatching is when your guns are large enough that they do not care about angle of impact when they hit the armor of an enemy ship. If they are large enough, they will simply ignore the angle of impact, go through, and do full damage. Unless, of course, they overpin, but that's a different story. But that's what makes the Yamato so incredibly powerful. It's got decent enough armor, as long as you're not dumb. It's got ridiculous guns. They can troll you at times, but more often than not, it's devastation. I mean, look at this Conqueror who just noses around the corner. We overmatch, so we just aim off the waterline a little bit. We get 4 hits and chunk him for a lot of damage. He hits us with HE, but now he's like, I don't want to come out here anymore. Shocker. This is why Yamato is so strong. Now, Conqueror can absolutely bully a Yamato at range because we're not usually going to be landing enough shells on target, and he will. And those fires and the penetration of his guns hurt a lot because that HE is disgusting. Alright? However, watch what I do next. Do I charge straight in? We know there's Yamato around the corner, right? He's already introduced himself. We're actually getting sniped from God knows who across the map in a crossfire, so we got to keep that in mind. So we want to try to put ourselves in a position where that's not going to be a thing. Limiting who can engage us, folks. It's really not that difficult. But we can utilize the island to our advantage. The enemy will get complacent. They will get impatient. You just have to outweight them. And once again, our Stalingrad wastes his radar. Lord have mercy, dude. I'm not getting into it. We have an absolute freaking goat on our side of the map, and it's not the Stalingrad, it's the Alaska behind me, okay? So I can't say anything bad. Dude is absolutely goated. We'll talk about him in a minute. But we have 2 supercruisers that are fully capable of absolute devastation if they get the chance. However, Conqueror and Yamato are both nasty battleships for supercruisers. Why? Because Yamato overmatches and Conqueror penetrates everything with that HE. So you do not want to get into a fight, especially at close range, where these 2 ships will be able to focus you and get massive amounts of damage per salvo. However, using the islands, look at me focusing through the front guns so that I can clear the island, and we go for the cheek that we talked about, and pow! There goes half his hit points. That's what we're talking about. He's not really over-angled, but because I'm in a Yama and I overmatch 32 mil, I can go through that cheek at stupid angles. So you'll see me go for that home run shot. I call it the home run shot a lot when they're bow in, because that is the difference between a Yamato battle that's a bow in, bow in. One person needs to know what they're doing, and the other person will end up losing because of it. Of course, all comes down to RNG and whether you can hit your shot. But watch this next one. Conqueror, we're not going to Citadel him, but we do want to break the guns, so we go straight through the bow side plating into the front turret barbette, which goes all the way down to the Citadel from the front gun, and we destroy his gun, not by shooting at the faceplate, because the faceplate has all of the armor, right? You never want to shoot at the faceplate of a turret. You do not get the pin there. But if you can pin the barbette through the cheeks like we did here, and oh my god, hello, Yama! Remember what I said about being over-angled? That's what happens to you. You can't do it. The Conqueror backs up and just leaves that Yama wishing that he had support. But it didn't matter, because Conqueror's going to go down as well. And now there's just the Neptune here. But we're not stupid. We know there's another battleship out there who's already shown interest in shooting at us, because he tried to snipe us earlier. But he hasn't been able to shoot us, and now he's spotted as he's, like, in the gap by our battleship or cruiser that's there in the middle. Now, what happens next is that our Neptune that's in the middle of the map, this guy needs to get into this alpha cap. He doesn't, spoiler alert, but our Neptune in the center of the map just sits there this whole time. But what happens here is this poor Neptune, he just has no chance here. Again, it's essentially a slightly better Mino, in my opinion, because it doesn't always get one-shotted every time somebody looks at it. However, in this case, he's going to wish he had been one-shotted, because we are going to hit him so hard his entire family is going to feel it. And leave him with just enough for our buddy in the Alaska to finish off. Keep an eye on that Alaska, because our Stalingrad's already dead. Shocker. I mean, there's a chance he took more of the punishment from the Yama and the Conqueror because, again, I wasn't going to be stupid and just walk around the corner and get yeeted by a torpedo cruiser while I'm also getting focused by a Conqueror and a Yama. Just bad idea, right? But that's where the positioning comes in, and that's where most people fail. People don't understand positioning in this game. We've talked about creating crossfires, and here I'm going to try to get a cheeky shot at the Colbert across the map. He's going to actually dodge. I don't know if he meant to dodge our salvo or if he's dodging somebody else's stuff and just got lucky. But we were trying to snipe him because I know he's about to be a problem. We've got a Kerr first over here coming in our direction. He's actually reversing at the moment. We also have a Cristoforo Colombo and a main. Now watch this, folks. What do we talk about with crossfires? We win our side, we push up, and look at the crossfire. Do we shoot at the guys out in front of us, or do we shoot the crossfire? We shoot the crossfire, and pow! We get our first dev strike of the game. That is how powerful crossfires are, and doing so, we're up over 200,000 damage already. But don't worry, folks, there's a lot more where that came from. The enemy is not done donating their hit points to us, and we're going to showcase just how disgusting this ship can be to anybody who decides to come at it. You just gotta know what you're doing. Know who you're up against, and by who, I mean know what ship you're up against, know their armor, and know where you overmatch and where you don't. Cristoforo Colombo, we know we overmatch. Just like almost every other ship that we're going to face, we overmatch. So if he comes at us, we just got to shoot the bow. Now, unfortunately, he turns in, our guns end up clipping the side of the island here. But notice the Colbert is already shooting us. There's a Colbert and a Brisbane here, and that's not good for me. So we're going to use the island as best we can, close the distance with the island, try to keep the enemy at bay. Now watch what this Alaska does, this absolute legend, the GOAT. I'm calling it now. I'm going to wait until I see after the match to see whose name he is, because dude deserves a shout out for his play in this particular moment. Okay? Pay attention to what he does. Does he play like a doof? No. He's actually going to do what I love, and that is set up crossfires. Now, we know we don't overmatch a Kerr first. Kerr first has a ridiculous extended belt that goes all the way on the waterline and a little bit above the waterline from the front turrets all the way up to the bow. He's one of the few ships that we just do not overmatch. So what do? We start farming superstructure, just like any other battleship should. You don't overmatch something, you go superstructure. And look at the railguns. Oh my god. That is 8 out of... Wait, no. That's 6 out of 6 shells on target. I don't know where I got 8 from. 4 plus 2. Math is difficult. But look at this Kerr first get yeeted by this Alaska. Remember, Alaska went straight to the crossfire. He didn't sit here to be bowing with me. He didn't try to hide behind me. He moves up, gets the crossfire, and murders that GK. In very quick succession because of crossfires. It's a crazy concept. And he didn't do himself an injustice by putting himself in a bad position either. He knows he's got a 32mm bow. He knows that the Grossa Kerr first doesn't overmatch him. So despite being low health, he waits for the Kerr first to commit, and then he pops around the corner and absolutely yeets the man. You gotta love it, man. Unfortunately, he is low health, and this Colombo is really only got him to shoot at this point. So, unfortunately, Colombo's going to finish him off. Showcasing that the Colombo knows what he's doing, at least somewhat. Because he doesn't overmatch the Alaska either, which means he shot the superstructure of that Alaska. Right? So, here, we know we overmatch the Colombo, so we're just shooting straight at the bow, and we're going to get as many penetrations as we can. Now, we are asking for support. Our right side, we have a battleship all the way back there in the back, but there's no guarantee that he has the range to shoot the Colombo, despite him being in a decent position to potentially crossfire this guy. We have the Neptune, who hasn't moved in like 6 minutes, and I'm not being facetious, but dude has literally not moved. He's just sat there this whole time. But again, we aim. Unfortunately, those shells actually went a little bit high. I think Colombo actually turned in just a little bit because he's trying to rush us. And again, we know he's trying to rush us. We know that we're weak if he gets our broadside, right? That is the one weakness of the Yamato. If anything gets your broadside, you are dead. Doesn't matter if it's a cruiser, doesn't matter if it's a battleship, you are dead in a Yamato if they get your broadside. Period. Okay? So, we are already reversing. We're trying to get to a position where the Brisbane and the Colbert can no longer farm us with AG. Unfortunately, Colbert is doing a good job of moving as well to keep in position to be able to farm us. But this Colombo, I mean, there's nothing he can do. We overmatch, he doesn't, so we're just going to absolutely dominate him. There's nothing he can do. We're at 278,000 damage. We're bow tanking the best that we can. We've lost a lot of hit points from fires here, but the Colombo, again, he's hell-bent on coming in. He wants a piece. He knows he can kill us, and we get the absolute god-tier RNG to hit him with just enough to get away. Fortunately, our Ohio comes through in the clutch, hitting him with just enough to finish him off. Thank God, because this match would have been over. For me, anyway. Now, I know there's a Brisbane very close by, right? I also know that there's a Colbert further back. Now, I know I'm burning. I know I've got no chance of getting my damage con off, so at this point, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try for one last Hail Mary to finish off somebody, and the Brisbane has volunteered to be the one. So we come around the corner, we get the shot off, he's turning away, we aim for it, and down goes the Brisbane, taking us up to 308,000 damage. Our second game in the Yamato to break 300,000 damage. All by playing smart, positioning well, and trying to do our best to not throw our hit points away, which is the thing that most Yamato players don't do. It is an incredibly powerful ship. You just got to be smart. You can't just throw your ship out there. Like I said in the video the other day, also, Yamato just sitting here, the Shima was just sitting here waiting to yeet me if I come around that corner, which is hilarious to me. Because he could have come around the backside and yeeted me a long time ago. But anyway, like I said in the video the other day, most people simply do not play the Yamato well. Is it something they can learn to play better? Absolutely, and I hope that this video gives you a much better idea of how that could be a thing. Now watch this Colbert. He's launching torpedoes at a Shima smokescreen, which is fine. You know the Shima's in there, but Colbert doesn't have the most range in the world, so unfortunately his torps are going to run out just in time to miss the Shima. However, the Shima does not have the same weakness of torpedoes that the Colbert does, and I'm going to give a little spoiler warning as the Colbert ends up putting himself back in position to get absolutely yeeted. At first, I thought he hit him, but then I remembered Colbert has ridiculously powerful torpedoes as well. If he hit that Shima, as low a health as that Shima was, he would have died. But unfortunately, he didn't. But what's funny is, in a moment, we're going to look back and see the torpedoes as the Colbert takes a torp and loses the majority of his health that he had left. But this game's over. We did everything in our power to do well. You can see I get into chat here, and I actually congratulate everybody in this match. This was a fun match. There's the torpedo hit on the Clair. Rip the dream, right? He lives, but that would have been hilarious if he'd actually died there. But the Alaska, my dude, absolute legend. And as soon as we see his name, we're going to call it out. But 308,000 damage with a Confederate high-cow dev strike. Top of the leaderboard, 3,500 base XP, and the Alaska coming in. Mimic, whoever you are, much appreciated, my dude. You played a heck of a game. Well done. And thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully this puts to rest why I said that most people play the Yama incorrectly or wrong or like a potato. And hopefully this helps protect you from being a Yamater. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.